There are many arguments for the existence of a creator, and the contingency argument is one of the most powerful arguments that the philosophers who are atheists or non-theists are struggling with. So you may not have studied philosophy in detail, but the philosophers themselves are struggling with this point that how do we explain everything contingent and not dependent on something independent? That is our position as a theist, as a believer. That this universe, the sum of contingent things is contingent. Sum of dependent things is dependent. That means the universe must depend on something which is independent. There has to be something that brought about this universe. Because the universe which is dependent could not bring itself into existence. For example, you and I, we are dependent. We are dependent on everything that you can even imagine. Food, water, air, to sustain our life. Stop breathing for 10 hours. You can't. Stop eating and drinking for 2 days, 3 days, 1 week. 1 month? You can't. A few days you can't because of the energy reserve that we have in our body. It can sustain us a week, maybe sometimes, and so on. But a month? I don't think so. Because you will start decaying. You'll use up all of these proteins will break up eventually. Your fat, your proteins, eventually you will die. So we are dependent on food to sustain our life. So how is it that this particular body that we have, the engineered body, we say it's not engineered by anything. It just came into reality. I mean, look at our own selves. You know how smart as you are, how beautiful as you are. This particular body that we have, individual components. Are you into biology? Are you into biology? Do you teach biology or right? But you studied biology, okay? You have? Think about the inner components of the cell. Are we saying all of these components came together by itself? Are we saying the cells, they started aligning with each other to form a tissue? You know the cells of the skin, it's not the same cells that makes up the tissue of the heart, or the lungs, or the kidneys. But during development, when the cells started, during the fertilization period, it started dividing and making all these different kind of cells, then they started aggregating. They became collecting together to form a tissue. How so? Where is this program coming from? Who programmed it? What programmed it? When you say we don't know, it seems like we do know. We do know, but we are not willing to subscribe to the idea that there is a designer. We are not willing to subscribe to the idea that there is a creator, that there is a deity, that there is a God, because there are consequences or ramifications of that belief.
No,
that may be...
It's not the consequences.
Okay.
It's just that it doesn't feel particularly compelling to me.
Okay, so now let us reason then. How do these cells come together to form a tissue? What designed it?
Well, it's the characteristics of the matter. Right?
No, there's a program. Program means specific information.
That's what you're telling me.
No, DNA
Yeah.
is a very super complex piece of information. In our body, those information in terms of what it's going to do, what it's going to make, your particular height and complexion and so on. This information either is random, mechanical, by chance, without a precise engineering or an engineer behind it, or there is a designer behind it.
Perhaps there's 300 engineers.
Fine. Either it is designed, engineered, or it's not, to put it simplistically. Whether there are many designers, that's still designed. So either our cells and our tissues are designed by a designer,
It could
or it's
also
not.
be beyond our understanding as well.
No, that's like saying, if somebody asks you a question, let me address that very quickly.
Monkeys running around the planet, basically.
By saying we don't know yet is not the correct answer. It's
Maybe
simply...
we'll never know. I'm not even saying yet. We may never ever know.
Why so? Why are you so confident? Why are you so hyper-skeptical?
I'm not confident. I just don't.
When you say we may never know, that's some kind of confidence to say that we'll never know.
No, I said we may never know.
Yeah, but we do know enough to make our conclusions. We know enough that this design cannot come about by itself. Because we don't see anything in our world where programs come by itself. Even think about like you have a house that you live in. In your house, your bedrooms, your kitchen and so on. Do you see tea or coffee being made and assembled by itself without either yourself or your robots that you have who makes tea and coffee for you, if you have one? Do you see tea and coffee being made? So you have the cupboard there where inside it there are teapots and the tea bags. And you have the fridge and inside it's milk. You have to open up the door of the fridge to get the milk. You have the tap where you get the water. You have your cooker or whatever you use will fire up and warm it up. Do you think all of this, do you ever see, not think, these components come together? No, let's understand it. Do you ever see, or do you ever hope that a good cup of tea with, how many sugars do you take, will come together and it will be ready for you to drink? Would you ever believe that? Or are you going to be hyper-skeptical and say, we don't know the answers yet, but it's possible?
I'm probably more towards the hyper-skeptical.
Yeah, but I think the lady here, she would doubt, because if she wants a cup of tea, she can wait for millions and zillions of years. It will never happen if she keeps on waiting. Because these things won't never happen. She is pragmatist realist. She
can make her own tea.
Yeah, if she does it, that's proving the point. To make tea, you need a conscious agent who has the power and ability of a will to go and assemble these things together. So this is just information in terms of the mechanical parts to make something. This universe, our DNA, everything that we are here, to assemble these things in a particular order into a tissue of a heart as opposed to tissue of the skin. This information requires a conscious, willing agent to put this together. That's my point. Now, if you have a good point to argue against it, I would like to hear it.
Even if you accept there's a conscious agent,
yeah,
how do you conclude that it's the God that you say it is?
Okay, it's a very good question. But firstly, we should at least...
No, there's no firstly.
No, firstly, at least we should say it's not the sake of argument only that we somehow come to this, some kind of understanding that, okay, maybe there is a conscious agent. Then we want to know what are the properties of this conscious agent. We have to admit at least, okay, it seems reasonable to assert. It seems reasonable to assert that there is a conscious willing agent. Once we...
2 or 3 or 4.
No, at least it's reasonable to assert that. Then the next question comes in, how many of these are there? And what are their properties? How do you then take this and make that into a deity or a god? We can address that question.
I mean, there's lots of things in the world I don't understand, and whether it's a conscious agent or not could be one of those things that I don't understand.
If it's unconscious, the problem starts again. Unconscious teapots and unconscious fridge don't make your tea.